Okay, good good afternoon and good morning or good evening wherever you are. And welcome to the Sami Parvez Show. It is good to have you, Donovan Ekstrom from beautiful Alberta. How are you doing, Donovan?
Sammy, I'm doing really well. I'm doing really well. It's cold. It's a little chilly out here. I took some pictures
Mm-hmm.
of beautiful my house right now. We'll share a screen. There we go. So we've had we had a dump of snow, a lot more snow than usual. So here is my we were buried a little bit. Nice snow. We ended up having, I think, just around 30 centimeters of snow over the last little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So not it was annoying. Right now the temperature is currently minus 20, which is a little chilly there. This is a view from my backyard.
Mm-hmm.
So you can
Wow,
kind of see
beautiful.
the yeah, very Arctic-y right now,
Mm-hmm.
Sammy. It's
Yeah.
very much like the Arctic, but here's a good, so you can kind of see this is the garbage that I've been using, uh, and this is about the amount of snow that we've had accumulate over the last 2, 3 days. So,
Mm-hmm.
needless to say, Sammy, there's a lot of snow.
Yeah.
How are you doing? How is Kitchener? How's Kitchener going?
Kitchener is great. Like weather-wise, it is amazing. We don't have any snow. Like maybe we would have like some flurries, end of this month. But so far so good in terms of weather. It is amazing. I don't have any pictures right now, but we have. I think it is sunny out. No, I think it is cloudy.
A little cloudy. I
Yeah.
think I looked at it as supposed to be some rain down in the
Mm-hmm.
distance. So,
Yep.
which is crazy to think
Mm-hmm.
about in Canada, no less. No, it is very Canadian weather up in Alberta, northern
Mm-hmm.
Alberta, at least. We're getting into that. Very different than last year. Last year it was like +6 and it was sunny, and I actually had to water my trees because
Wow.
it was so dry. There was
Yeah.
no snow, so it's
Mm-hmm.
certainly a lot different this November than it was last November,
Mm-hmm.
which is good. I like it. I like this weather, honestly. I think minus 20 and sunny is the best weather
Mhm,
if you ask me, because it doesn't feel cold. It
mhm,
feels quite warm, and yeah. But no, that's the way it goes. This is Canada. Who knows what December will be, and
mhm.
could
So,
drop down to minus 40.
so I need to ask you, like in -20, do you wear a hoodie?
Um no, I'll wear like I'll have like I have a jean jacket that has a lot like a sheepskin lining,
Mm-hmm,
so I'll wear that.
mm-hmm,
I have also a wool sheepskin coat that I'll wear.
mm-hmm.
And then like I'll have like a toque and some gloves, and yeah.
So what should be the weather until you don't need to? Maybe you are okay with a hoodie.
I usually don't wear hoodies actually. I'm not gonna
Oh.
lie. It's not really I gotta wear like a sweater. I
Mm-hmm.
don't really have a hood. I don't really the bunny hug as they call it in Saskatchewan.
Yeah.
Um, but I don't really wear hoodies too much, Sammy. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not gonna lie. It's not really a thing
Okay.
that's in my attire. But I will
Wow.
usually I'll start to bust out sort of some sweaters at around minus 10, minus 12.
Mm-hmm.
So when it's a little too cold, or just like between, it's like I could wear a t-shirt or like a nice light jacket. But yeah, once you start hitting that minus 15, I'll start to get my bigger jacket on.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Okay. Let's talk about the letter you sent to Ben Carr,
Yes, I
like
have.
regarding election.
Yes, I'll share it. I'll share this. Yes, I decided for the Rhinoceros Party, Sammy,
Mm-hmm.
to send a letter to Ben Carr. So right now they're doing committee meetings on Bill C-65, which will be some changes to the Elections Act. Um, Some of it's like, hey, we're going to be looking at possibly changing the day of the election. Some of it is based on sort of general procedure, maybe changing how many candidate signatures you need, how you access candidate signatures. So it might be more online versus in person. And so that's kind of what they've been discussing. And of course, the long ballot makes its mention simply because it is the elephant in the room, I guess, as one could say. So,
Mhm.
in Clause 7 of Bill C-65, they want to try to figure out ways of preventing the long ballot. And so, what they've kind of come up with is that you will receive sanctions if you sign more than one nomination form or if you incite others to sign more than one nomination form. And
Mhm.
I don't know what sanctions means in terms of what kind of punishment that's going to be. So I wrote this letter and I'll just do a quick read through of it. So Ben Carr, Winnipeg MP, Winnipeg South Center, who also experienced the long ballot. I sent this letter to him via the Rhinoceros Party. Dear Mr. Chair, I'm concerningly writing to you on behalf of the party, Rhinoceros Party, with great concern concerning Clause 7 of Bill C-65. I, as well as many of my fellow rhinos, have gotten signatures over the years from folks who have signed multiple candidate nomination forms under the impression that a wide variety of candidate choice builds a stronger democracy. Now, I'm reading that those same people, good Canadian citizens holding their Tim Hortons, waiting for their local municipal public transit, that, while it has its own funding, construction, and timing problems, is still semi dependable. Those good Canadians might be potentially violating a very silly law and will now be facing potential sanctions. The thought of those good, mostly law abiding citizens facing a potential Elections Canada tribunal makes me want to vomit, Mr. Chair. Though the Elections Canada tribunal members wear hoods in a candlelit dungeon, out of the Omega Theta Pi initiation from the excellent 1978 comedy National Lampoon's Animal House, directed by John Landis. What would these sanctions be? A blood sacrifice, bare bottom spanking, jail time, a small fine, the death penalty? The lack of details regarding these so-called sanctions in Clause 7 of Bill C-65 haunts the party Rhinoceros Party, Mr. Chair, punished for the crime of having choice during an election. Furthermore, Mr. Chair, who will determine when someone incites others to sign multiple nomination forms? Will this same Elections Canada tribunal tie the witness up in a shower and electrocute them like Endo did to Riggs in the 1987 buddy cop action flick Lethal Weapon starring Mel Gibson and Danny Glover to determine what was incited? The lack of details regarding the sanctions is worrying, like Woody Allen in the overrated 1977 comedy Annie Hall. Mr. Chair, the Party Rhinoceros Party feels that the potential sanctions in Clause 7 of Bill C-65 are a jackhammer on a deliciously moist chocolate cake your neighbor baked and left you on your doorstep. Not only is it needlessly cruel, but it's going to damage the proverbial steps of democracy. So maybe instead of actively harming citizens for wanting choice on a ballot, the committee can put focus on tangible systemic issues. Just a thought. Thank you for taking the time to read this, Mr. Chair. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to get in contact to discuss these issues further. Please don't sanction me. Eternally yours, VP of Oil Development, Vegetable Oil, Hui, Crude Oil, Solar, and Oil of the Party Rhinoceros Party, me, Donovan Extra. So, yeah.
Wow,
So
great.
I sent that letter out. We'll see if they're gonna. Worst case, Ben Carr has certainly seen it. And of course, yes, it's the Rhinoceros Party, so it's a little funny, a little tongue in cheek, making movie references. But I think the bulk of it is really there. Ultimately, punishing citizens is insane because and like what happens if you unknowingly sign multiple, like you, like it's the whole thing is bizarre. What does define someone inciting it? Like it's a very strange thing and it doesn't have a lot of details in it, Sammy, and that worries me. And I think yeah, the longest ballot also sent one out. I think that they have one that they've sent. But yeah, it sort of seems, as said, it's like a jackhammer on something that was like on your doorstep. It doesn't make any sense. Like a gift. It's like somebody gave you this. The gift of democracy is having the opportunity of having choice. Heaven forbid, right? Like think about, and I've gotten lots of signatures from people. I've gotten signatures from the conservative candidate up here when I ran in 2011, and he could face sanctions for probably like it doesn't make any sense. and it's you can really tell that Elections Canada doesn't have a clue on what to do. Um, and it seems like their focus isn't on this system is really bad and has issues. It's we should punish people for doing their right to exercising their democratic right to have choice. Like, and it's a slippery slope. And I think that, I certainly, yeah, okay, let's say this. Like maybe you can sign up to five. I think that would be a fair, like have a tangible number. But right now it's like if you sign two, you could face a sanction. I don't even know what that entails. As mentioned, it could be the you could get murdered. Are you going to get killed? Are you going to get a fine? Like we don't know. So I think I think it's a good concern, and I hope that the committee reads it, and then posts it on the House of Commons website. That would be very neat. Uh,
Sorry.
but
Yeah, yeah, go ahead.
but we'll see. We'll see what happens. I said it's committee. They have a lot of I've been listening, and Ben Carr, by the way, has been doing a pretty good job as chair.
Mm,
Like the conservatives have been going after witnesses in ways, and he's very quick to move on. Yeah, and like he's got a good control of it. He's not letting anybody sort of derail it, be it
mhm,
liberals, NDP, or conservative. So I do appreciate the job that he's been doing, particularly, he is a liberal. He could sit down and say, "Oh, I'm gonna let the liberals say, oh, he's been pretty like he's done a better job than Greg Fergus as speaker." Let's just say
mhm.
that.
Yeah.
So like I give Ben Carr full props, particularly for something as contentious
Mm,
as changing the Elections Act. Like there's a lot of things that could go wrong, and he's maintaining a pretty good control of it. And so well done. And he's not letting anybody derail it. So Ben Carr, thank you. I hope you read my letter, because it is from the heart. And ultimately, that is the most important thing. It's about love, Sammy. It's about love.
mm, mhm. Yeah, but do you think this it seems like as you were talking and I watched some it seems like he's more like with respect to when it comes to chair, so he's more impartial, like neutral or unbiased, like taking the chair. You supposed to be impartial, like when you sit as a chair, but we don't see much from either side, like either conservative or from liberal, like see the house speaker, or if you see any other committee chair, they mostly favor to their party members, like mostly it is happening and it happened in the past. So, but what you are saying, like it mean Ben Card is more impartial, right?
100%. And it's not like he's sitting down and saying, okay, you can't ask questions to the like, because the conservatives are mentioning to the Elections Canada head, did you have meetings with the NDP behind closed doors, like special meetings between the NDP and liberals?
Mm,
And he's letting them ask the question. Like he says, like, hey, listen, you can ask these questions, it's fine. But like don't just spend the entire time on it. But like he's letting them ask the questions. He's letting everybody, and it's great. It's actually quite refreshing watching him sort of let everybody asks and then of course, yeah, if you stay on it and you're not getting the answer, he'll come in and say, okay, you need to move on. But he did that with the NDP. He's done that. Yeah. So it is, you're right. Like in terms of typically some committee chairs will, yeah, and you see it in the United States quite a bit,
yeah.
where they not where they'll sit down and, oh, I'll let my side ask whatever, and then I'll be very stringent on it. But he's been keeping time. He's been
Mm,
keeping people on task. Like it is, he's done a really good job. But yes, no, it's very similar versus the Speaker of the House, Greg Fergus, who seems to willy nilly change whether or not things are allowed, or depending on who says it. Uh,
mhm,
the liberals can call Pierre Polyev a fraud, but don't say it about Randy Boissonneau. Don't say it
mhm,
about him, right? And you're like, it's silly. But no, I think Ben Carr's been doing a sensational job.
mhm,
I like watching some committee meetings. I know I'm a nerd, but I enjoy watching some of this stuff. And he's been keeping everybody to time. He's been on top of that, and you know they're scheduled from like 11 a.m. until 1 p.m. Sometimes those committee meetings go like an hour and a half past. and he's getting him within 10 minutes of like they're getting out at 110. Everybody gets the chance to speak. He's phenomenal. Like I said, good work, Ben. Not like you can't argue with that. And it said, please read my, I hope you read my letter to the committee because it would be very neat. I would think that would be cool, but that's just me.
Yeah, you are right. And you mentioned that you received a confirmation, something like you read your letter.
Oh, I'm just assuming, well, because I tagged him on Twitter, at the very least, his account has seen it.
Mm,
Because I know that they probably get a lot of emails onto this and they might just sort of throw some of them into the garbage. But at the very least, his accounts, his social media accounts have seen it. So
mm,
hopefully, at least at worst case, he's just read it. I hope he takes it to the, that'd be very neat. As I said, I would love the committee to hear it because I
mhm.
think there's some good points being made there. I think that it is, there's actual issues. If you want to deal with it, don't punish people. Let's focus on the systemic instead of just punishing folks for letting democracy happen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know, like, what are they doing? Because, like, what would you get? Like, as I was speaking with David Craig and yesterday about the consequences, like, whenever I have someone like opportunity, like a journalist or these politicians don't sit down with me. Otherwise, I would grill them. So being extremely like impartial, like, but why don't you create some rules when you be guilty? So you should face the consequences. You don't face any consequences. We saw Justin Trudeau broke ethics laws twice, and we saw this Randy Bosno. What consequences he is going to face other than just stepping down is minister? Even though if you read the letter, what PMO issued, Trudeau and Bosno have agreed that Bosno would step aside from as the minister. Like, it was not mentioned he was fired, neither it was mentioned that he resigned or stepped down. Like, it was technically, it was a very technical, they use very technical words, or terms to define that later. But he's not going to face any consequences. Despite that, he many times he referred himself an indigenous, or his great great grandmother was a Cree or someone. Like, what the hell is happening when in the House of Commons, people house, with there these MPs or these elected officials lie, so they don't face any consequences? Why the hell we have a House of Commons? Like, this is not a democracy. In democracy, even though, like, if you see, we say like Saudi Arabia, like, this is a dictator. They are just a one family rule, like, from centuries. But whenever you caught lying, or if you are stealing, like, this could be caught in terms of stealing, they will cut your hand. Like, this is their law. No, no, they don't care whether you are a millionaire or billionaire tycoons, or you belong to a poor family. No, rules are same for everyone. But in Canada, there are two types of rules. Like, one is for these elected officials, and one is for ordinary Canadian citizen. So this is disgusting.
Well,
What do you think?
oh, I think you highlight actually one of the big problems too in terms of our justice system in general is that if you have enough money, you can get away with anything. I think that's a sort of a big problem with North America, just sort of that Western justice. It's not a justice system; it's a legal system, and so long as you can weasel your way through it, you won't really get much punishment. I know, and you sit down and like if you look at death row in the United States, there's not a lot of rich white people there. It's a lot of people that are poor with mental health issues, that's kind of speaks to one of the big issues here is that our justice system simply isn't that, and that goes towards politics and our politicians. They can get away with anything. Now, I will say that Randy still hasn't. The case is open, and so no verdict has been reached yet. But as I'd mentioned, the penalty for the ethics commissioner is the max he can get fined is $500. So, despite his business using indigenous owned despite all of this and the amount of money that he's probably made from this. The most that he can face is a $500 fine and then probably apologize. So yeah, you would hope that there would be sort of a more stringent rule in place, but unfortunately that's not the case. Canada's a little funky. And but I think I said this highlights a really big thing that if you're in a position of power or if you're rich enough, you can get away with almost anything. Even those, you read about those folks that go and murder in states that have the death penalty, and then they get a manslaughter charge and they're out in 3 years, and you're like, that's not right. um and so yeah, I hope that, this is why we mentioned the ideas of having more independence. And I know that you've said it on this show, and I've said it on this show, that having more independence, and people whose skin isn't in the game, right? And you sort of look, as much as Ben Carr is doing a great job. His dad was MP. You start to have that nepotism. Justin Trudeau's dad was MP, or was prime minister. Then you have that there. You have all these families that have sort of rich connections in the public life. And then that in turn gets passed on to you. You don't really ever want to change things that might harm you. And that's why I think having more independence, or at least booting out all the incumbents, I think would be good. I think that there's some people up here that, there's the Maverick Party in Western Canada. I would recommend, if you're somebody that's conservative, vote for them instead of voting for the Conservative Party. Similarly, if you're a left progressive, maybe throw your vote towards the Green Party, or even looking at some of those, like the Forward Party. Oh, Sammy, I look at your roof. It's so neat. I've never seen your roof before. Oh, we're getting some of the behind the scenes of the Sami Parvez room. Um, but yeah, like, look towards progressive candidates. You can find independents that are progressive. I mean, like, there's a whole wide variety of things on the left and right that aren't the main parties, because all of them are wanting you to stay in that same thing. All of them don't want to face any real punishment. They're going to set the rules in such a way that they will never, ever have to face any accountability. That's never good. We should have accountability. Um, but yeah, and Sammy's frantically working. I don't know. I can do some stamp.
Yeah, I was actually using my cell phone to tweet something. Like
I
I,
got you. I
yeah,
got you.
I'm working. That's why I let you to speak as much
I
as you can.
I know it's
Yeah,
tough.
you are absolutely right. At least if you cannot vote to an independent, or if we cannot, or if an independent candidate can't win, at least we need to defeat the incumbent. Like the defeating the incumbent means a change. It means you will think next time this party thinks, oh, after 4 years or one term we lose that seat, like another party took that seat. So this could make a change. Like, if we have these all now, before they were 338, now they are 343 seats. If all these seats would be swing in every election, so they would think about twice putting forward a policy which affect a Canadian citizen, like what we are seeing right now in terms of uh, election rules. Like, they are amending these rules just for the sake of themselves, to one is like to ensure that these three or four political parties survive forever, lifetime. And the other thing is their pension, lifetime pension. What I don't if I would give my example, I have worked every year. I don't think if I would make over 40,000, maybe the least was like maybe 45,000. Like, if you are working as a in retail store, or other, like, like working on minimum wage, so you cannot ever make more than 50,000. I would say 50,000 is too much. We would say like 40,000. But these MPs, like, are granted a lifetime pension for doing nothing, are going to receive for, I think, is it like 70 or 80,000 per year? What the hell you did? You did nothing. When you got elected, you needed to travel to Ottawa and received a house rent free. All expenses are covered. And so in your term, everything is covered. Like, you are not going to spend a penny Whenever if you are meeting with someone, who would you call your constituent, or meeting with a constituent, if you go to Tim Horton, if you spend $2, you will bill it to Canadian taxpayers. You need to check that one, because I went through some of these one. Even though, like these elected official bill Canadian citizen or Canadian taxpayer, I would say, $250 for cable. What? Why do you need a cable at your constituent's office? I need to know. Like, you don't need cable. You cannot watch TV during your work time, do you? So this is completely ridiculous. Why you are spending this money? If you times it 250 times 338, so how much it could be? Like, at least you need internet, these services, but you don't need cable. So this is completely ridiculous. Like, how much are you spending on taxpayer dollars? So whether Canadian citizen, I have seen people, as I mentioned many times now. I think Donovan or whoever hearing my voice would be sick of I'm saying the same thing. People are searching food in the garbage bin. Can you believe it? And we are living in Canada, which is the first world country, and we have the greatest resources. We have the second biggest land in this world. But despite that, we our people are begging on the streets, or searching food in the garbage, or whatever, like sleeping on the streets. Like, but we are sending billions of dollars to Ukraine to fight against this regime, or we are sending billions of dollars, to Israel, like to kill civilians.
Yeah, it is not optically we're going to be talking about Justin Trudeau's little dance, but like optically a lot of it doesn't look good when you keep giving yourself salary increases. MPs make about $200,000 a year, and then almost everything's covered. I think at the very least they can just put their money aside for retirement. You can put an eighth of it, $25,000, put it away, do that for 4 years. Now you have $100,000 in your retirement savings. Like, okay, good. And then if you do a good job, then inflation shouldn't hit that too bad. But no, heaven forbid, right? Like, so yeah, I think that it just, we talk about optics on this show quite a bit. And optically, it doesn't look good when you get to live your cushy, getting your pension, you get to enjoy your life. You make $200,000 a year, and almost everything is taxpayer billed. You have your $55,000 housing allowance or whatever. Like it's remarkable the amount of money. $2,000 car allowance. Let's see, actually,
Mhm.
indemnities and salaries. Yeah, it is crazy. And then if you're the speaker, you make another $100,000, which is just crazy to think about. Yeah, it's like the it's like if you want to be the leader of another party, you get an extra $68,000. If you're a chair of a committee, you get 13,000. If
Wow.
you're you get like a if you're the chief government whip, you get an extra 36,000. Parliamentary secretary, you get 20,000. So it's like $200,000 the base as the member of the House of Commons. But you can make so much more if you just sort of take all these different things. So we can assume that like it's not what is exactly there is you can take some money out of the way. I don't think you need this gigantic pension after 2 or 3 terms. I think I said, like, and I think if you're going to really commit to it and you do 20 years as an MP and you keep winning your seat and you keep doing a good job, because
Yep.
that's really ultimately where most of this is. I think after 20 years, I feel pretty good about that person getting a pension because
Mhm.
you've committed a significant portion of your life
Yep.
to public office. I think a fair more of a fair thing. Once you hit that 20 years, 16 to 20 years, it's like okay, that's fine. But like the fact that you get it in a couple is bizarre. It doesn't make a lot of sense. And
Mhm. Yeah,
but
and yeah, you are absolutely right. Yeah. Okay, and I calculated those 250 which they charge for cable. It is 84,500 just one month. They will charge you 84,500. Like, then they will charge for the renovation. I don't know, like there is another thing, advertisement. They are just keep spending Canadian taxpayer dollar. I don't know like what is the limit for spending, but they can spend as much as they want, like to bill it on taxpayers. Like they will term it something. I don't know. This is crazy.
And like I'm not going to sit down and say that you can't spend any amount, you can't charge taxpayers any amount of money. Like it's like where I'm well aware Canada's a big country and you want to see your constituency. I'm fine with you taking like a flight back and being like, hey, if I want to see people in my constituency, if you live up in northern Alberta,
Yep.
you're gonna have to fly if you're going to be a part of the community. You have to check it out, and that gives you an opportunity to talk with people. But
Hmm.
like, I don't think you should take business class and charge it. I don't think you should take. I think that there's, you can take coach. You can take get a deal. Getting deals is good. I know that you can land in Edmonton, drive up. Like there's a couple things that you can do there that I think people would appreciate, particularly as you're saying, there's people that are going into garbage. There's people that are just trying to survive. The it's optics, right? I know that it's always been this way. We've always done it this way. We've always charged taxpayers. We've always done this, but optically it doesn't look good when you're charging taxpayers this to work on your cable, to work on, business renovations for your constituency office. It just optically it doesn't look good. And I think that, whatever the government foreign spending is a thing that's always going to be there. And so you can't sit down and say one way or the other if it's right or wrong. But optically, if you're going to be doing that and then still charging taxpayers and making $275,000 a year because you signed up for a couple of committee things, you need to stop and be like, this doesn't look good. And yeah, I think taking a little bit more of like an oomph, like taking a different approach to this would pay off a lot better, I think. And it just looks good. Like I would say if there was like an MP that uh that just I go back to my constituency at Christmas, pretty much during breaks, but I live in Ottawa. I have a very small apartment. I'm not spending a lot of money. I'm just trying my best to represent the area. I think that's going to be, particularly to the average Canadian, a very nice thing. I think it would look good. But so we'll see what happens. Nothing's going to really change, honestly. Everybody's kind of locked in. Everybody's happy. But that's just sort of the way it goes, Sammy. Sometimes we just have to take it on the chin. It's a little punch from the powers that be and sigh and keep on
Hmm.
trucking.
Yeah, you are right. Like, but they don't think about like this. If you check their expenditures, like how much they spend in a quarter, like 3 months, their everything is available. And you said the base salary is 220,000 for each MP.
So it's 200,000, 200,000, 300 or 3,000. Where is it? 200,000, $203,100 is the MP salary.
Yeah, so see, you are making 200 over 200. Yeah, ordinary Canadian citizen, like in their lifetime, they cannot make that money.
Some
They will just
to
share that
some,
to somebody.
yeah. What is the average can,
I
and that's
think it
not
is
to sit
60 or
down,
60.
and it's not to say that, yeah, 63,000 is the average Canadian salary, but it's not to say that, like, obviously we don't want to sit down and pay MPs little, because that's when you end up having corruption. Like, you need to have good pay, but it's about what you do with that money.
Yes.
$203,000 is enough for you to rent an apartment. Like, I don't think you need
Hmm.
a housing allowance if you're going to
Yeah.
be living there. You can rent an apartment just like everybody else. You can spend
Yeah.
$2,000 a month on a very nice apartment if you want to do that,
Yeah.
and that'll
Mhm.
end up being about $12,000 out of your money. And then just sort of experience a little bit what it means to be Canadian. Don't do this housing allowance where it's like, oh, I have $60,000 or whatever to spend on all this stuff. You can afford an apartment. $200,000 is a lot of money. You
Yep.
are fine. You're okay. Everybody else does it. People are doing it paycheck to paycheck. You can do well. 200,000, you can get an apartment. Well, let's see. Let's look at Ottawa apartments. I'm curious. Ottawa apartments for rent. Yeah, you can get an apartment 1100 monthly right now. Boom. You can get an apartment in Ottawa, 1100. But alas, poor York. Let's look at some of these apartments. Well, Sammy's away. Sammy's disappeared. There he is.
Yep. Yeah, you are right. You know, like those things should be covered. These 200,000, it is okay. Then whatever they want to spend from these 200,000, it is okay. But they are charging extra. You know, like it seemed like they would make like 300,000.
Yeah. Yeah, well, yeah, it's like I make $200,000. Your food is covered. Everything is covered if you're an MP. You can charge whatever you want to taxpayers, and then you just have $200,000 just sitting in your your account that goes right. Like it's bonkers. I don't even know if they're taxed properly because they're in the government. I'd have to look into that, but
Yeah, I'm also curious. Like, will they be taxed? But somewhere I read they would be, but I don't know.
yeah, I'd have to look a little bit more into that. But that's yeah, it's just sad. It's just it's irritating. It is just frustrating.
Hmm.
But that's where we live.
Hmm. Yeah, let's talk about Justin Trudeau. Trudeau dances while Montreal burns. You know, like it seems like he loves dancing. But then we saw like no one tweeted like it happened like on Friday when there was also NATO. It was not a NATO summit, but NATO, these US lawmaker and other NATO like NATO workers or like NATO officials were also in Montreal discussing about the future of NATO
Mhm.
and how they will deal with this Russia aggregation against Ukraine, and also it's threatening to Europe to how to deal it. You know, like there were protests uh, uh, breaking the infrastructures of people, you know, like those stores or in the road, also clashing with the police, I think burning down Israel flag, and I think smashing down vehicles as well, but smashing down especially those glasses of the building. They were all doing, but our prime minister was there in Toronto. He was not saying he was with his family or particularly with his daughter. Yeah, we don't say you don't visit with your family, but something big official is happening and you are particularly just attending Taylor Swift concert. You know, but you should show to the world that you are the prime minister of G7 nation. You are not just Justin Trudeau, but you are the prime minister. We did not see a world leader dances like him. We saw like how Donald Trump dance, but Donald Trump just show it, you know, like he will show his supporter just to cheer on him, you know, like just to try to get their attention. But unlike Trudeau, we saw like what he did during his India trip, or what you remember last time we had, I think he was in Markham, you know, like there was a yeah, doing a dance. It seems like everything is okay, and the Canada is in crisis. The Canadians can't afford food, but you are dancing. It seems like, which clearly shows that that it means everything is okay. So when 9/11 hit, so George Bush went to a casino or in a party, you know, like danced. Everything is okay. No, George Bush did not go there. You know, like there were many crises, but we did not see such a foolish act by any world leader except our Prime Minister Justin Trudeau.
Yeah, like George Bush, there's the well, he was at a school and he was doing
Yeah.
some reading. They
Mm.
did the debrief, but like, and then he went out and sort of went and locked it in during nine
Yeah.
eleven. Yeah, it says this is what we talk about optics, right? What does it? Certainly, he can go see a concert so long as he didn't build taxpayers. If he built taxpayers, I'd be really pissed
Yeah.
for that. But if he, if he took from that $200,000, and I guess say the prime minister makes an extra 98 because so the $300,000 is salary.
Yeah.
He made that 300,000. He took some to buy that ticket. He's allowed to do that, but optically it doesn't look good. Now, one of the things that irritates me is that people are saying this is never, Canada has fallen and all this stuff. And I'm like, well, no, Montreal has a history of riots. It's kind of like
Mhm.
their MO. There's always been riots. There's always going to be riots. Montreal, particularly, was like up until like the 70s, was having a riot every decade that caused millions of dollars of damage. There's the Murray Hill riot, the Richard riot, there's riots, Gavazi riots. There's so many riots. Montreal's renowned for it. But when we talk about optics, when that's happening and you're dancing,
Yeah.
it doesn't look good. And I'm shocked at like he doesn't like it's like does his PR team well like and I mentioned this when Randy Boissonneau was doing his like he did a union. I posted it on Twitter before I took my break. But he posted this thing about how he's like, we care about unions. Like, we're a very woodworking union. We care about unions. This is a liberal government that cares about unions. And then less than 24 hours, they had put into place binding arbitration for the dock workers. So you're like, it seems like the PR is so bad for the liberals. It is
Mhm.
remarkable. There was not somebody that said, hey, there's a riot happening in Montreal right now. People are probably recording you. You should probably leave and
Yes.
do something about it. But and I think that if you put this shoe on the other foot, if Pierre Polyev is PM, there's a lot of P's there. Pierre Polyev PM. If he's PM and the same thing happens, what are people going to be saying? And I think that you said like, you have to, no matter what, optically, you have to look at what the public is going to say. And it's like if Pierre Polyev was there dancing while there was a riot taking place in Toronto, like similar to Stephen Harper, G7
Yeah.
2010. There was
Mhm.
a big riot there, police cars burning, flipped upside down, the Eaton Center getting glasses smashed, G7 or a whole or G20. I think it was a G20. But anyways, but it was back in 2010. If there was a video of Stephen Harper playing in his band, the playing Sweet
Yeah.
Caroline, people would be like, "What are you doing? You're terrible." And yet, I find that people give Justin Trudeau a little bit of a pass. Well, he's a dad, he's supposed to, but like it's optics. And I
Yeah.
think that, and you're seeing it even too from like liberal supporters that they're like, this doesn't look good. And it doesn't look good. Like, this is when you mentioned people are hungry, people are starving, and then you're there dancing. It looks bad. You do a lot of dancing. It doesn't, people don't like that as much anymore. In a sense. Yeah. But like, I will say though, that the hyperbole from people being like, Montreal, this is the worst riot in Montreal. So I'm like, no, it's not. The Richard riot caused back then, if you adjust for inflation, multi-million-dollar damage, and like there was a police officer that got killed. Like let's hold our horses here a little bit. But it optically it doesn't look good. You need to sit down and be a leader. There's as you can sit down, and that's the thing too that I'm gonna say is that like regardless of how you feel about Israel and Palestine, and what side you fall on, there is a rise in anti-Semitism that's taking place in this country. There's schools getting shot up that are Jewish schools. There's businesses that are being harassed. Like there is a sort of a rise to that. You need to sit down and show a little bit of leadership and gumption, regardless of where you fall on this. You can sit down and I'll be critical of Israel all the time.
Yeah.
But like I think that you need to also acknowledge the fact that there is right? Schools like that's not normal. That shouldn't be normal, and you shouldn't sit down and it's sort of it's a thing that drives me crazy about American politicians when there's like a shooting, like a mass shooting that happens, and then they say the same thing, being like, "This is terrible," and you're like, "Well, then do something about it." And we're seeing that with our liberal ministers saying, hate has no place in this country. And you're like, okay, you're gonna do that every week? Like, what are we doing here? Like actually have some gumption and do something about it. But it's easier to sort of it's easier to sort of say words. Words are easy, Sammy.
Yeah.
And you'll see
Talk is easy.
politicians will always
Talk,
do
talk, talk is cheap.
oh, talk is so cheap. It's
Yeah.
so
You
much more
you
easier.
always you always say this.
Anybody can say anything, and you can sit down and keep on tweeting, and then we'll see Melanie Jolie will sit down and say, "This is a terrible thing that's happening.
Thing.
Hate has no place. Hate has no place. Hate has no place."
Hmm. But I was surprised they did not tweeted out this thing. Like until yesterday afternoon. It seems like Trudeau was there busy, and Trudeau did not tweet. I think as long PMO As long PMO does not say anything, no one says. Like I think maybe Ethan father and Anthony father and the Miss there was another public safety minister, Mars Marcidon. I don't recall his name, but he was a former safety minister. He is also a Jewish. I think he is in Toronto. So these two could be the critical of Trudeau's policy with respect to against Jewish, but they may tweet it, but other than no one from liberal caucus. So this is surprising, like you should take some responsibility, but he's chilling, like he's traveling around the country and billing Canadian taxpayer. Like it seems like it just he's on his last tension, like I hope in future generation our children grandchildren will remember the stories from us about Trudeau and Fiery Trudeau. Like Fiery Trudeau was much better than Justin Trudeau, But they will remember if Trudeau's children would say, "Oh, we are going to run in for office," they will remember what Justin Trudeau did.
Yeah, but I don't have a lot of faith. I'm not gonna lie, Sammy. I don't have a lot of faith. I think everybody will sit down and be like, "Oh, I like that name," and
Hmm.
then they'll vote, and then it'll be like, "Oh, good, here we go," and then it'll be Ben Mulrooney. It'll be
Hmm.
all the Mulrooney versus True, and it'll sit down. It's all nepotism, anyways. It's all
Hmm.
kind of locked in. I'm pretty cynical on that. I have a feeling that give it 30 years, a new Trudeau will come up and people will be like, wow, yeah, this is a pretty good guy. And you'll be like, no, 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 stop, stop, stop. But alas, that's the way it goes. Oh, that's all it takes. So if you're charismatic, you can kind of get by quite a bit. And that was, Justin Trudeau was a distant like fourth when it came to the leadership back in 2014 for the Liberals. Like he was a distant, and then he ran a great campaign. And he, as you don't win election campaigns by being a bad politician. Justin Trudeau has some political acumen, but and I think he's really hoping that when campaign time starts, he can do that magic one more time and
Hmm.
go down fighting. And I think that's boxers don't go into the boxing ring expecting to lose. And I
Yes.
think Justin Trudeau thinks he can win. That's why he's sticking around. And I think he really believes it. And and he must be thinking that these polls are exaggerating. Like it's like the polls are exaggerating how bad it actually is. Um, and I think that he's going to sit down and he's going to go down fighting. And he thinks that he has a shot because you have to. You can't sit down. He can't be leader right now and thinking, oh, I'm going to lose. You don't do that. He thinks he's going to win. He has a chance. Obviously, there's some delusion attached to that, but like that's you don't win election campaigns by being a bad politician. The Liberals were trash for 2008 to 2015. They couldn't win anything,
Yep.
and similar with Pierre Poilievre right now. He's sort of setting himself up to win. You don't win a campaign like by being bad. So it's take what you will. We'll see what happens campaign time.
Hmm.
But it obviously optics, it's not looking great. And I think that he needs a new PR team to be like, stop. You need to stop. This looks bad. Like, stop.
Yep.
Justin, get out. Go, go, go. This is only gonna look worse. Leave, leave.
So
But
he's not going anywhere. So we will come to PR Puliar. Like we have a CBC story on this. Like, but let's play. What was Trudeau doing in Toronto? I have some videos to play.
let us watch.
No, okay. Oosh. I no. Mm, no, no, no. I did something wrong. Stop optimize. I, so I supposed to close something else. I closed that folder.
That's
Just please give
okay.
me one more
That's
moment.
all good. All
So I will
good.
be back.
No worries. We're good, Sammy. We're good. I need to come up with some prayers for my job because I teach in a Catholic school. So I need to come up with a couple fun
Sorry.
ones.
Mhm. Yeah, just give me one moment.
What's a fun? I need some fun prayers.
I think now I got them all.
Ah, good, good.
Okay. Oh, okay. No. I need to. I think I did not share the video.
Oh, I saw the
Yeah,
screen.
I did not share this video optimizing.
I got you. I got you. Here we go. All the technical hullabaloo, hullabaloo.
Yeah. Now can you see the screen?
Yep, 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 yep.
Yeah. Now let's see. This is Trudeau. He's sharing bracelet. This is Montreal. This is at the same time Trudeau is dancing in front.
Montreal erupted into chaos as pro-Palestinian and Arab.
It's the same video.
Yeah, yeah. It said it's as mentioned. I know that some people will say like, oh, this is, but like Montreal has a history of this, but it is the context. You know, seeing Justin Trudeau shaking hands and getting bracelets and dancing while that's happening. Not a good look. Not a good look.
Mhm.
Not optimal. Not good leadership. Said it's all optics, right? Regardless, you know, and said he can have fun, he can do things, but you can't dance. Don't dance while that's
Yeah.
happening.
Yeah. I don't know like what you was thinking went there. Like you could go visit there, but you don't dance. And now we are talking about Pierre Poulier. There is a story like from Pierre Poulier, which is from CBC, which says that Pierre Poulier hold like completely Pierre like these conservative MPs can't say until it is not approved. They cannot speak to media until and unless it is not approved, even though they are being watched. Can you believe it?
Well, like Trudeau does that too. Like, I don't
Yes.
understand. Like, every political party does that. Like, are you
Yes.
kidding me? Stephen Harper did that. Like, that's
Yep.
why I don't like political parties. Nobody can really speak their mind. And then, yes, of course, there's muzzling happening. Duh. Like, are we like okay? And the sky is blue. Like, what's wasting time on this? Like, and then seeing Justin Trudeau share it as if he didn't muzzle Jody Wilson-Raybould and like it's just like give me a break. Like I'm so like that's the stuff that irritates me. It's a pointless thing. Like I get it. Yes, politicians, you might be shocked to realize this, but politicians like to be snakes and they like to change and they do their opinions based on what people like. Turns out like it's like yeah, of course he does. Of course he muzzles conservative MPs. Stephen Harper did it from 2008 to 2015. Like he had everybody under control. Like look at what happens if he doesn't. Like that's if Pierre Poilievre doesn't muzzle his MPs, you end up with that Arnold Viersen pro-choice or pro-life thing where that's backfires, and then you're like, God. So yeah, of course he's muzzling. He's learned well from his, master and power, Stephen Harper. Like it's a ridiculously stupid story, and like everybody, yes, all of them do it.
Yeah,
You-
but one thing is very important in this. Even though Pierre Pouliot works late night, this is what CBC said. Like he does not take vacations, unlike Justin Trudeau. He also has a family. He has two small kids. Like toddler. you know so this see, like Pierre Pouliot's office maintains tight control over what conservative MPs say and do. Yeah, so if he does not, as you described, like he is not going to win. Like even though party members monitor caucus for signs of message and discipline and fraternization with other MPs. Yeah, so this is okay, but this what they say and what they can't say, like he has a tight control, but there is something special about. So either of us are not fan of either any political parties, but what Pierre Pouliot is doing as compared to Justin Trudeau, so this is much better. So you see here, if you repeat the slogan, you get rewarded. Say the conservative source, you are celebrated in front of entire caucus for being a good chair leader, and you get more speaking time in the house and during question period. But this is this is concerning. Like it should not depend on the house leader. I think in the UK Parliament, it is up to the speaker to recognize if someone wants to speak. But here in Canada, it depends on the leader. This is disgusting. Am I
yeah,
right?
like, yeah, that's this is yeah, it highlights it's and you know what, as like I said, Trudeau does the same thing. But I will say, when you look at somebody like Anthony Housefather has been vocally critical of Justin Trudeau's handling of sort of the Israel-Palestine stuff. So you do have
Mm,
a couple of things that are a little bit more wiggle room, but yes, this is still very similar. It's kind of gross that you have to say the slogan. If you
mhm.
say the slogan like a good seal, congratulations, you get some zeal. Um, but yeah, that's yeah, it's not yeah,
Yeah,
it's not
so
too shocking.
personal Pouliot imposes iron discipline himself. He works hard, he works late. This is CBC saying. We have been telling him for months that he needs to take a vacation, but he just won't listen. One source said, he's the only, he's the one who decides everything. His main advisor is himself. Like unlike Justin Trudeau, PMO is not advising him. Like like is the chief of staff is not advising him what to do. The people around him are only there to realize and leaders vision. This is how leadership work.
That's still somewhat similar to Justin Trudeau though. Like we know that in his he has his inner circle and everybody nods, and you kind of have to which I think works out well. I think like if you're going to sit down and you're going to be the leader of a political party, you should certainly have some commitment to it, and he seems to obviously have that commitment. Um
Hmm.
as said, it's not really it, but like this is such a non-story. Like it's like I don't know. It's yeah, I will say it's a little different than what we heard from Aaron O'Toole and Andrew Scheer when they were leader.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, he's locked in, he's committed. He's sort of taken the Justin Trudeau approach, where I am the leader. You will listen to dear leader, and you will be happy. And
Mm,
then everybody's like, okay. But with that, you end up actually having sort of a clear cut vision. You don't have. You could really tell with Aaron O'Toole and Andrew Scheer's campaigns over the last several years, you could really see they were kind of going by committee.
yeah.
And I think that ended up biting them in the butt, where you have some people are more on the right, and this is very Stephen Harper-y, which Pierre Poilievre served under a Harper government. He was the secretary and would speak for the prime minister's office. And
Hmm.
that's yeah, like it's not too shocking that that's the strategy that works. It turns out if you have a clear-cut vision on things, you win. We talked about this last week with Kamala Harris and Joe Biden. Kamala Harris versus Donald Trump. If you sort of try to get by committee and you have all these different wishy-washy slogans, you don't have any direction, people are going to probably go with a guy that has a definite direction. And we see that with Polyev. But it's unfortunate because your MP doesn't necessarily represent you. Your MP is representing the party, less you, right? Like it's like, and that starts to open up a really pernicious can of worms, that I control when you're going to ask questions. I control, sorry, you might have an issue in your community, but because you didn't call Trudeau a wacko, you didn't do exactly what I wanted you to do, you don't get to ask that question. And I think that's disturbing. I think that's no good. I think that's not a positive development, but it's politics. I said I think it's a pretty big non-story out of it. I think it is what it is. This is Trudeau does the same thing. You just have to look at Jody Wilson-Raybould and Phil Pott, and you're like, oh yeah, that's if you don't say what dear leader says, you get punished for it. Sucks.
Yep.
You have no sway on things. And I think the only reason Justin Trudeau is doing that for Anthony Housefather is that he doesn't want to lose that vote, So yes, you can say it. You can say it. Look at how nice it's all political. There's no genuine care about Israel or Jewish people from Justin Trudeau's perspective. He's doing it because it's a politically advantageous thing to do. But if it wasn't, Anthony Housefather would be a good backbencher, quiet, keep his lip tight, and that's kind of where we would be there. But yeah, it's not really, it's a kind of a non-story, honestly. It's politicians controlling things. That's the way it is. It's the way it's going to be until you get those independents in.
Yeah, we need more independence. I don't know like when. So let's talk about Pat King, found guilty of mischief for role in Freedom Convoy. So he was guilty of 5 charges and he was innocent on 4 charges. But don't you think these are political charges?
Oh, well, this is when we start talking about what the law says, right? Like like for that brief amount of time in that convoy, if you lived in Ottawa, you're probably very happy about this result. You weren't getting sleep, you were all the honking, all this stuff. That's, if we look at what the definition of mischief is, that's kind of what it is. But of course, yes, a lot of them dropped.
Yeah.
A lot of them were dropped. What was found guilty 2 counts of disobeying a court order. So they told them in 1 each of mischief, counseling to commit mischief, and counseling to obstruct a public or peace officer. Yes, there was no intimidation, no counseling to commit, and so like, yeah, because that was really the big one, right? That you were, what's the term, conspiring to intimidate people. No, it's sort of like, yeah, you were being disruptive. This is the charge. I know it says they say it could carry a maximum of 10 years, but I imagine that they'll just say time served and he'll go about his merry way. It's tough, right? Because as said, if you lived in Ottawa, and I talked with people that lived there, they said it was the most miserable like weeks of their life, just honking and honking. They couldn't sleep there. And so you stop and you're like, okay, well, the guy who organized it should probably get like a little finger wag, which seems to be what they're doing. So I don't think it's necessarily like a political thing. If it was a political thing, then they would have gotten the intimidation. I think that would have led to a bit of a disturbing thing. Similar with the Coots guys out in Alberta. They ended up getting intimidation, but the conspiring to murder police officers was dropped. But there was some ideas of like mischief, and it says, oh, this will take 10 years, carry 10 years. I think that once, obviously, I think is he going to, they're going to try an acquittal again? Are they going to, or is this locked in? I guess, is he going to, yeah.
So you mean like, are they going to like challenge it?
Yeah.
I don't know, like, maybe they will challenge it on the appeal court.
Yeah, appeal. Sorry, that's the word. I'm sorry, I forgot. I was like, I forgot what word that is. Appeal. Yeah, like and so that I said, if you lived in Ottawa, you'd be like, I want somebody to face something for the most miserable 3 weeks of my life. And so I said, is it political? Obviously, there's some of the crown was trying to really get some of it to really send them, because if you get the intimidation charge, I think the minimum for that is like 6 years. Like, and then you get those, because yeah, you're threatening somebody, right? There's actual, and there were 3 charges for it, so I think it'd be 6 years, and then you could get them for the mischief, but mischief charges, they're so wide, right? Like it can be as much as a small fine up to 10 years depending on the severity of it. So I have said, I imagine that they'll sit down and be like, you've served your time, goodbye, or whatever, like here's some house arrest or something like that. But as I said, I don't think it's necessarily there. Obviously there's a political vibe to it, no doubt. There's a political tinge to it, but those charges were dropped, like the intimidation, and I think that that's something to consider there.
Yeah, and I was not aware about like many art were like residents were against, like they could not sleep because I did not speak to anyone. I heard from the media, but what you are saying, that I take it like
Yeah, it's
that is the
just
truth.
all of the honking, right? Like, and you sort of see people like sitting down and being like, I haven't gotten, and yeah, they probably want some semblance of a thing, and that's why I think that this will be like, here's a charge, and then we'll go along our merry way. We'll see though if he's gonna appeal it, but yes, Crown prosecutor told the court he's seeking a significant penalty for King. Mischief conviction carries a map, but that's going to be, King is expected to be sentenced January 16th. So we'll sort of see about that. But the intimidation's the stuff that's bad. That would have been really, like, if he had gotten the intimidation thing, he'd be like, I don't, I've looked at the text messages, I've looked at all this. I don't really see it. I just see somebody that's organizing a thing and it's getting really big, kind of getting a little out of control. Like, that's kind of the way it goes. And yeah, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. January 16th.
And will the like conservative government would have some authority to drop them all?
I that would look. Yeah, they might have an authority. They might be able to say to the crown, "You're going to drop this," but that would probably bother a couple people that are saying that, well, there was a crime here, that there was some semblance of mischief that was done. So that might be, but and then I think that starts to, or if you're, this leads to one of the things that drives me crazy about conservatives, some conservatives, is that, it's like, we're all about the rule of law and accountability. Unless it's our side, then we're going to drop all charges and ignore it. And you're like, that hypocrisy kind of comes off real bad optically, right? Certainly there might not be enough evidence really for the mischief conviction, and they can sit down and sneak in and say, well, we're going to drop it, but optically that's going to look real bad. It's going to look, don't worry, my friends can break the law, but your friends can't, right? And you're like, that doesn't look particularly good. And this starts to put into, we talked about at the start of what is law, who follows rules for me and not for thee, kind of thing. And that starts to not look too good. So we'll see what happens January 16th, what the conviction will be. Like, if you're the judge, I don't know, if you sit down and say, well, we'll sort of do, I think that'll be when they appeal. So we got the guilty, they'll see what the conviction will be. It might just be something as simple as like, you probation for a year, don't drink, don't do drugs. Good luck.
Yeah, and now let's talk about our final segment of Nova Scotia election, which will happen on 26th.
Yeah, right around
day after tomorrow. Tomorrow, Tuesday.
It's crazy. Time is flying by. That's crazy. It is. This month has flown by, Sammy.
Yes. Time is going too fast.
We're all careening towards death, but we'll be happy. Yeah. What are the polls saying for this?
PC would win a majority, huge majority.
Yeah, they seem to be set. That as I said last time, I think what'll be more interesting is to see who will form the opposition, because that's ultimately, as we've been noticing in Canada, a lot of the third parties aren't existing provincially.
Yes.
Really, it's only federally we have sort of a little bit more of a wide array because Canada is so big. But
Mhm.
if you look at, Alberta, it's UCP and NDP. Saskatchewan, it's Sask Party and NDP. But when you look at Alberta, it used to be Liberal, NDP, and Conservative. Like there was three parties. But now you look at BC, it's NDP and Conservative. So we're seeing a very much a bipartisan outlook on things where everybody's going to throw their support behind a party. And so it'll be interesting to see because right now I think the NDP have the slight edge. Yes. So the NDP have the slight edge out there. Are they going to, what happens if they get those slim margins and the way that some of those really close ridings are in those more progressive inner city Halifax ridings? If they start to go, it's sort of a coin flip between NDP and Liberal. If they get lucky enough, they could win all
Yes.
of those seats. And then the Liberals might have one or two seats. You're not going to have enough money. You don't get that tax break. You're like not even really considered party status at that point. That becomes a really big problem there too. So, yeah, I think. And the conservatives are playing it great. The progressive conservatives are really using that progressive part, increase of minimum wage. We're going to give tax breaks to families. We're going to do this. We're going to do this. We're going to do this. We're going to get jobs going. Everybody seems to like Tim Houston. He seems to be quite a lovable chap. And yeah, I think it's looking very likely that it'll be a conservative majority. But I think that it'll be very interesting to see that second place. Who's going to get
Yeah.
second? And I think that's going to really be an eye opener of being like interesting. Okay, the NDP are. Or maybe the Liberals will shock and get ahead. We don't know. It's all very close between that, and I think that's going to be what you want to watch.
Hmm. Yeah, it would be interesting. Yep. They if they some like uh key candidates would lose their seats. There should be some surprise, like during election, what we saw in Newfoundland and Labrador, no, New Brunswick, where the premier lost his own seat. It was the most shocking thing.
Well, like looking at 338 Canada, they're looking at the projections here,
Yeah.
and the Liberals could get 0 seats, and I think
Hmm.
that's
Yeah.
that's really that's massive, right? If all of those really close ridings fall towards the NDP,
Hmm.
the NDP could have a pretty sizable, opposition, 14 versus, the 30, 36 or 38 of the Conservatives. And then and then the Liberals at that point, you lose all of your funding, you lose everything sort of falls through, and you end up not having party status, and that's quite eye-opening there in itself of itself. So yeah, I think yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens for who gets second. Are you going to be hosting a stream on this,
Yeah,
Sammy?
I think I must do it. What do you think?
I think so. I
Should
think
we?
it's always fun. I'll try to get on it, of course. But I have another band rehearsal pretty much this week, Sammy.
Oh.
I have a rehearsal on Monday. I
Mhm.
don't get home until like 10:30 on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday.
Wow.
And because I have my jazz band on Monday, I have a jazz band on Tuesday. I have Wednesday, I'm a part of the orchestra, and Thursday, I'm a part of the wind ensemble. So it's like my rehearsals go till like 9:30, and then I drive home. It takes like 45 minutes, depending on the weather. And then
Hmm.
I finally unwind when I get in at like 10:15, and then I'm up and out of the house at 7 a.m. So it's a bit busy, but I'll of course try to make it, Sammy. I always want to say hello to and I think actually the way that the polls will close, I might actually be able to sneak in
Hmm.
because I'll
Yeah,
pull
the poll will close from our time like 7 o'clock.
that's a 5 for me, so I should be able to get on for an hour before my rehearsal. So it's not bad,
Mm-hmm.
not bad at all.
Hmm. Yeah, and just like you said, you do your rehearsal for the jazz band. So where do you perform actually? Do you go somewhere in a concert to perform?
Yeah, we're doing our concerts. Hey, if you're up in the Grand Prairie area and you want to see old Donovan Ekstrom, you can check out the Grand Prairie Music Society, and we have a whole bunch of concerts coming up. I'm just going to.
Yeah,
I
you can
have I
share
have the
your
posters up, but the posters are up, but they're facing away from me.
Mhm.
Um, let's see, concert tickets. Concert. So yeah, we have a whole bunch of concerts happening in December. So if you want, yeah, November 29th, is the Wind Ensemble concert, and that's going to be performed at the college that's here at the Grand Prairie College Northwestern Polytechnic. So if you want to see Donovan Ekstrom or say hello, stop by November 29th at 7:30. And then November 30th at 7 o'clock is the Symphony Orchestra. So it'll be back to back. So Friday and Saturday, I'll be doing some performing there. And then December 6th, I'll be doing some jazz at the KMSC Law. So, and then I'll be performing at a bunch of old folks' homes, sort of retirement homes, which will be nice, playing some jazz there. There might be a farmer's market gig we're doing maybe on a Saturday as well. So there's a lot. There's a lot of performing. It's bring Christmas cheer, Sammy. That's what I like to do. It's always about Christmas.
Okay, that's great, and wish you best of luck on your shows or concert.
Oh yeah, yeah. I'll send some pictures.
Yeah, that would be good.
But I think it's we had a pretty good chat. I don't know if there's really much more that we can talk about. I think we've highlighted certain things. We got our predictions wrong. CFL, we got it wrong. Toronto Argonauts. Adam was right, except he was even wrong because he thought it was going to be a rouge. But Toronto came out in that second half and just curb stomped Winnipeg. It was the Nick Arbuckle show. So we got it wrong. Congratulations.
Yeah, they won it. Yeah, I thought I did not wanted these Toronto must win. So as I took your word last time we were talking about this Winnipeg Blue Bombers. As you said, they will win it. I took your word. Yeah, they are going to win.
Yeah, no, I was wrong. I was definitely wrong. Toronto Argonauts, won because Adam said that it was going to be close. I thought it was going to be a Winnipeg pretty easy win, but it was a really easy Toronto win.
Yes.
So we'll see. Sorry, Winnipeg Jets. You guys might not win because of my prediction, but the Winnipeg Jets are the top of the league. So they are winning in the NHL. So we'll see how that turns out. But I have a feeling that they're not going. Oh, they might. Who knows? We'll see how that prediction goes. But yes, we were wrong on the CFL. Congratulations to the Toronto Argonauts as we get into the off season and see what happens with the Edmonton Elks. They have new leadership, a lot of stuff in the CFL, a lot of shifting changes, and we'll see what happens in the next little bit with the CFL.
Yep. Okay. Let's wait and watch. Until then, I think, do you have anything else you would like to share?
Sammy, I don't. I'm going to have to head on out of here. So thank you again for a wonderful show. And then, yes, if you haven't, make sure you like and subscribe, hit that notification bell, share it with your family. And if you're a sponsor, send Sammy an email. Let's get some sponsorships going here. I have no issue reading. I can read an ad.
I wish we would have something like that.
I've actually sent out a couple of things because I think the Sami Parvez show's had some really big growth, and I think that somebody gets in early on it. I have no issue reading about bedding and pillows. My Pillow. We can reach out to Mike Lindell. Let's see what Mike Lindell is up to. I'll read a My Pillow ad. Why not?
But I appreciate it. Thank you very much for your efforts to making sure.
We would
let's not close yet. We have Trudeau is going to send a $250 check to every Canadian who earned less than 150,000 in 2023. But 150,000, why not just 50,000?
Yeah, it's one of those. It's just I gotta win. You have to win. Also, only working Canadians too. So you still had to. You couldn't just if you're unemployed because you won't be able to get it.
Really?
I think it's just working Canadians.
Okay.
So
yeah, I bought in 2023. Yeah, I submitted my what is called those tax form. Yeah, I did it. I was working then.
Some seniors outraged over being left out of federal plan to give $250 checks. Yeah, excluding non-working Canadians. That's crazy. Yeah.
And senior citizen.
Yeah, because they're not
disabled.
Working. Good. Yeah, that's good. It's not a good if you're gonna do it. Yeah, that's stupid.
I think back in during that leadership debate, Trudeau mocked Stephen Harper was trying to do something like that.
Similar, yeah.
So he mocked him because he said that you are giving money who does not need it, but Trudeau is giving money who makes like over 50,000 or 100,000, like they don't need it. Why you are giving to them? You should
Yeah.
make the quota very low, like 50,000, it is okay. And the senior citizen who are last, like whatever, for their lifetime, they also supposed to receive it, like instead of these over who are making 400,000.
It's the optics. Doesn't look good. So that's once again, it's sort of like, oh, it's desperate times too, right? Desperate times call for desperate measures. Try your best to win it all. So yeah, we'll see what happens, but I think it's going to be once again, we're back at it. Justin Trudeau being silly and all of that. But anyways, Sami, I'm gonna have to head on out. Take care. Good show. Another great show with the
Thank
Sami Parvez Show. Make sure you like, subscribe, share this. And we'll see you next week. Keep on trucking. It's going to be Christmas. We should have Christmas themed things. It'll
Yeah,
be
yeah, we
December.
maybe,
December.
yeah, maybe you need to make a Christmas theme, like Christmas theme for the Sami Parvez show. We will always play it before starting our show and then ending of our show.
I can record some jingle bells.
Hmm.
So we'll see about that. But anyways, take care, Sami.
Yeah, you
Take
take
care,
care.
everybody. Have a wonderful rest of your Sunday.
Yeah, thank you very much, Donovan. You take care, please, and have a good one.